I am here for the same reason you're here. That is that I want to try to make our community a better place. I think we had a good session. Briefly, I'll say that I don't like to use the word but I believe I personally killed the logging bill in the state parks. I think the governor would acknowledge that when he threw in the towel on that issue. We got a sexual assault survivors bill of rights through the legislature. In a sexual assault case, the rape victim waits 440 days for that forensic rape examination kit to be tested in the state police lab. So it's basically 2 years between a sexual assault and the day the prosecution can go forward. So can you imagine the women that have turned the page on their lives during that period of time and do not want to prosecute? Can you imagine the sexual predators that are out there, that what they've been up to during that 2-year period? So we're going to shorten that to about 150 days. Marshall Forensics will do the testing, which they're nationally eminently qualified to do, and we will be a model for the rest of the country. And we have been on that issue.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for your time. I'm glad that everyone's out here. This is what we got to do to move forward. My name is Dakota Nelson. I'm running for District 16. When I decided to do this, it was a lot because of understanding what could come with a campaign. What can, not necessarily what does at the moment, but what can come with a campaign when you have the resources, when you have the chance to set up here and speak about a living wage, when you have the chance to talk about the reality that we are all mortal and therefore healthcare needs to be a public option, no doubt about it. The opportunity to bring people in, to educate a lot of people for the very first time, not just about Dakota Nelson. That is a goal, to get me elected so that we have the resource of a vote for progressive values in Charleston. But more importantly, when we're spreading the issues, education. My campaign is going to end in 2018. This logic-based approach to our issues, understanding that we deserve as people to be served by our politicians and not held back by them, that's a kind of understanding that will live far beyond my campaign. And that's what we're trying to do with our voters in District 16. When we give people the chance to see past all of the distractions that have been delivered for so long and to remember that this is ours. Folks, we are told that we can't fix a healthcare system. Well, we made the damn thing. Why can't we fix it? We build buildings, we send people to space, we save lives, but we can't fix a healthcare system. We work to create powerful corporations that have created the most powerful economy in this planet, but we can't pay the workers who bolster it up? Absurd. But what's beautiful is when educated, we see clearly the absurdity that we're being handed, and we're going to have the opportunity to bring people along to demand something different, something that reflects us as human beings and the humanity that we want to see in the state of West Virginia.
Hi, everybody. I am Spurlock. I'm running for House of Delegates in the 16th District. Please forgive me today. I'm sick, and it's my birthday. So I'm not very well prepared, but Susan mentioned something about where the 16th District is. And we'll say it starts at the First Street and South Side and hits Hal Greer over to the river, where it hits Marshall, where we will have our first early voting precinct, thanks to Austin and the Young Democrats. We all know the problems in our state. Lack of jobs. Our workforce participation rate is at 50%. The opioid crisis, as I call it, is a crisis. And I think there's a genuine lack of hope amongst some of our citizens. And when I address the opioid crisis, I look at the addict and see that addict as someone who is sick and needs help, and need to put that addict in a healthcare situation and not a criminal situation. And when we start treating each other with some dignity and respect, we can start to move forward. Early voting starts April 25th, a month and a day from today. So get fired up, help your candidates, Vote, get others to vote, register to vote. I don't know what last day of registering to vote is. 17th. The 17th. So if you got friends that aren't registered to vote, you high school students, get them registered. Thank you all for having me here today. It's been a pleasure. I was here 2 years ago and made my first speech, and it's been a pleasure to get to know all of you, and I appreciate your friendship. Thank you.
My name is Christopher Shooter, and the reason why I'm running is because we need to fight for change. I'm fighting for everybody, man, woman, child, the abled and the disabled. People have forgotten about the disabled community in this area for far too long. We have been disenfranchised, and I say we because I had suffered a stroke and an aneurysm when I was 13 years old. It has me with a left side paralysis. I walk with a noticeable limp, and I am visually impaired. I'm looking at her, but I cannot see anybody to the right side of the room. The right hemisphere of each eye is completely black. So I am considered legally blind, and we have to do things to enfranchise the disabled community. Figure out ways that we can get them to get back to work. Because many of us disabled people, we want to work, but we just cannot find credible jobs. I just know if I'm elected, I'm fighting for everybody, regardless of social class, status, or ability. Thank you.
Chad Lovejoy. I currently serve in the House of Delegates for the 17th District, and I am running for re-election here in 2018. I wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about what I've been able to do in the last 2 sessions. I came here 2.5 years ago, and I said, here's the kind of things I'd like to do. And the truth is now there's a record, and you can go back and look, did you do anything? And so I think that when I go back to my first session in 2017, the focus there was on the budget. And I tried to put my focus on protecting public education, higher education, and our seniors and elderly in the DHHR. I got on the wrong side of the governor when he was still a Democrat, and proud to say, made a hit list press release in my first 3 or 4 weeks there, and I was proud of that. I introduced 51 bills, and 10 of those were signed into law by the governor, and so thank you. Most of those that year focused on the drug trade. That's such a heartbreaking issue here to us locally. 2018 session obviously was the year of teachers, service personnel, and public employees, and I was proud to stand with them all along the way. It was amazing to see that movement. Don't let any politician say it was them, whether they're a Democrat, Republican, otherwise. It was the people that showed up every day and demanded to be heard. They demanded fair wages and benefits and work conditions, and they prevailed because of them, not because of anything that any of us did. And I'm proud of them. Thank you. This year, I put in 46 bills. 13 of those got through both houses. 2 have been signed into law, and 11 are sitting on the governor's desk. 2 of them I got as the lead sponsor, which was a pretty good accomplishment for a freshman in the minority. One of those was to fund the Library Facilities Fund, which Judy Rule's been pushing for years. We got that put into law. It's a good one. And the one I'm most proud of, which is our shared table bill, which is a bill that's going to take food. Thank you. That bill is going to save between 400 and 600,000 pounds of food from the trash to go into the bellies of hungry children in West Virginia, and I'm proud of that one. Now, I want to go over a couple bills that didn't make it through because I think it's important to highlight the Democratic values up there. These were the bills in 2017, not that I supported, but that I put my name on, introduced, and fought for. The Earned Income Tax Credit, repealing right to work, reinstating the prevailing wage, firefighter cancer presumption, that's now law, Carl. Second Chance Employment Act, that's now law. Expansion of school-based mental health, affirmative consent, protecting our funding to the IDD and ADW waiver programs. And this year was expanding the Promise Scholarship to Promise for All, bail reform, human trafficking, career technology education expansion, protecting our LGBT communities under the Human Rights Act, repeal of net neutrality, PTSD for our first responders, expanding scholarships for community technical college, and increasing deputy sheriff retirements. So those are the kinds of things I'm fighting for. I hope that you'll look at the values that I've fought for in Charleston, and you'll send me back one more time. Thank you.
I was very proud to announce last August my candidacy for the House of Delegates District 17 to this group because I've come up in this group and learned so much and have felt your encouragement and support. I am running, and when I announced my candidacy, I am running on 3 priorities. The first one is as a strong voice for children, women, and working families. My legislative agenda is to look at every decision made in terms of how is this going to affect the well-being of West Virginia's children. And by extension, whether it's their single mom or a grandparent raising that child or, a working family raising that child, we need to look at the well-being of our families first and foremost. I'm also, along with that, working in the interest of our seniors, our veterans, our disabled West Virginians, and those who are vulnerable. We really need to look out for that. Number 2 is to fully and immediately implement every solution we can come up to fighting this drug crisis. That I have personal experience that made me want to run for that reason as well. Number 3 is that we need to reverse the exodus of West Virginia's young adults. We need to value our vital human service workers. I applaud our teachers for going to battle, not only for salary increases, but they were representing every state worker with PEIA. And that was so important, and they stuck their necks out, and they got a win, and we've got to keep those wins coming for our state workers. We really do. We need to make sure our education is fully funded from pre-K to postgraduate. We need to restore that funding. We need to cut some of these corporate tax breaks that have been depleting our budget over the year and start focusing on the things that are outrageous, our families that are not getting what they need. So with that, I wanted to reserve my last 30 seconds to talk about the issue that's going to be on our ballot this November. I am a practicing Christian. I am someone who, like all of us, wants to see fewer abortions, but this ballot initiative to make abortion unconstitutional, regardless of rape, incest, life of the mother, is not the way to do it. It is about policing the bodies of our women and girls. And I want you to encourage, I would love to have your vote. I will stand up for the rights of reproductive health. But I want you to please urge all the women to, what's at stake here, that voting this November is so important because we do not want this decision put back in the hands of an 85% male legislature. So thank you. I appreciate your support. Thank you for your vote.
For those of you all that don't know me, I was previously on the school board. I'll be married for 45 years in May. I have 2 wonderful children and 4 grandchildren, so that's what I'm very proud of. And being on the school board, one of the main concerns, or the reason I ran, and my concern was children. Jeanette and I have a lot of agreement in that. I'm concerned about their education, and that includes their teachers and the staff, service personnel, receiving a living wage, a good wage for what they do. It allows us to keep and retain our teachers. It allows us to recruit the best teachers that we can find. And it also does the same thing for our service personnel. A lot of service personnel, I don't know if you all are aware, if they've got much of a family at all, they may actually be eligible for food stamps. This is not a living wage. And that is the other issue that I have with children is their health and their safety, but their families have to have a living wage. And so I am against the law about prevailing wage, getting rid of it, and I am also not a right-to-work person. The reason for that, as a historian, as some of you know me as, I know what the unions and labor did for this country, and how far we have gone in safety and our wages, and for the working people to actually be able to pay their bills, pay their taxes, invest in their communities. And, that's what we need. Have enough money that their children can thrive in their homes. So this is what's really important to me. But also, I'm not just about children and their families. I'm also for seniors because I happen to be one. My husband's one. And we need to be able to keep the programs and put some others back in place that give these seniors a chance to have a comfortable life. And I say the same for the veterans. The veterans need to be able to come home and get a job if they're eligible and want one, and be able to be comfortable in the rest of their life for what they have done for us. And I have a little flyer here, and I have to apologize because I meant to put also the disabled, because there are a lot of people, and some in my family, that are disabled, and they need the same thing. I have a really close friend who was a paraplegic, still is, can't work now, but he wanted to work. And he worked his way through college, got a degree, and had a nice job. And he's been too ill in the last, I'd say, 10 years to actually or so to work. But he wanted to work. So for those who want to work and are able to work, we need to find a way for them to be able to work. And that's what we need to do for our citizens. We have forgotten about the hands up in our laws. We have cut so much out of programs. We have forgotten about hands up. We are cutting now in the current atmosphere the hands out. We're taking food away from children because their parents are addicts, which is the other issue that we need to deal with, of course, is those families that have those issues. We need to do some changes in the law that will help us get people into treatment so they can get out of drugs and back into the community doing what I said, paying taxes. Oh, I'm up. Sorry, I wasn't looking at Susan. So I could go on forever, as you can tell.
I'm glad to be here. My name's Paul David Ross. I'm running for House of Delegates in the 18th District. I run 2 years ago. I got real close. 290 votes, guys, is all it took me out of the primary. This time I'm running for the same problem. We've got people up there in Charleston that don't believe that we need to have a living wage. They think that it's fine if we have people that are out there and had years of training doing construction work. They ought to be down about $15 an hour. Folks, that's below poverty level. We can't have that. We've had several years of training. Myself, I had vocational school in high school, 2 years, 5 years apprenticeship through the IBEW. I've been with them since '91, and work got slow back in 2010. What am I going to do? I got to find a job somewhere. So there was an opportunity to go to Lincoln County High School and open up an electrical program there in their vocational department. Guys, that right there is an education for yourself. When you go inside and you try to figure out how to teach these kids something that you've done all your life, it was a big pay cut. I got cut in half. Then while I was there, they come to me and said, hey, your education is not what we need. So there was $10,000 a year that I had to pay out of my pocket for tuition. You go from $30,000 to $72,000 a year to $55,000 a year to $34,000 a year, and $10,000 of that goes out into tuition. That's not right, folks. We deserve better than that. The people that are up there right now think that $15 an hour should be the top pay. I think we need to get in there and give them a reality check and give them a different job next time. This right to work, that is a smokescreen, guys. They're out there, they're putting this poison in, trying to let you think that that's a good thing. It's not. The true right to work is the prevailing rate. And we need to get up there in Charleston and try to straighten out some of the things they took away from us. They want to take your pensions from you next. That's the next thing coming. They've got these little academies that they're getting started, and they're going to try to just distinguish themselves as apprenticeships. Well, what they're teaching on is a small level, an 8th grade level, and the union apprenticeships that have been through the Department of Labor have gone through their college credits, folks, their college classes. They're not on the bottom level. We need more training. We need to step up and realize that the vocational schools are a beginning point. And the kids coming out, they can't be expected to be as the same as somebody that's been out here working for 20-some years. They are helpers, and we need to train them so they can stay here. And we need to take care of those that have worked and built this state so that they can teach the next generation. Thank you, folks.